And tennis is a hobby for you guys, but it's also not just a hobby. It's like I get you. You know, I have things like that in my life too, that they're hobbies, but I definitely don't treat it as a hobby. I really want to get good at it. So welcome back, guys, to Say Less. So today what I want to do is I think the YouTube community is full of people that really want to improve at tennis, and maybe you don't have the resources to go take the lesson like a couple times a week, go to an academy or a clinic and train all the time. Maybe you just don't have time to do it, or you guys have jobs and other things to do. So I wanted to kind of talk about what it takes to realistically improve your game to like more of a competitive level versus just like a recreational play with your friends level, because I know a lot of people they play recreationally, but the mindset is they want to be able to hit a ball, play a match like a competitive player. Now I'm going to talk about a couple of things that I think are really necessary, and I have them here on my phone. I don't know if I can talk about all of this in the time frame I have for this video, which is around like 10 minutes, so I might have to make a part 2. But while I'm talking, I have a video of me hitting, so you guys don't get too bored of my voice. But here we go. So anyway, this is me hitting with my friend, I think probably like 2018 or something, like I don't know, 2019, 2020? I don't even know. When I had blonde hair, that was a long time ago, and significantly better at tennis back then too. So let's just get started. Oh, but wait, we need to watch this first clip of me being back when I used to still have athletic ability. Now I just stumble around the court. Alright, anyway, the first thing I want to talk about is up here. Okay, so what does it take to be competitive? Because the mental part is the most important part, because without the mental part, you're not going to go out there and do the things that you need to do. You need to learn how to think and not just play matches like a competitor. You need to think about how a competitor actually trains. So from there, we're gonna move forward into like training aspect and things that you can do by yourself, where you might not necessarily have a coach. Okay, so what I have here for mental training is you have to practice being uncomfortable. So what that means is everyone has their strokes and what they're used to, and then they have in their mind what a stroke should look like. But if a stroke feels normal to you, it probably in your mind looks a different way than you think. So just because it feels normal doesn't mean it looks normal or it's actually what you want. So imagine yourself as a third person looking at your strokes, what you would think. So film is very important, but we'll get to that later. We're going to talk about saying, okay, maybe this is the way I like to play, but I might have to feel uncomfortable in order to train myself to that next step. The best players are the ones that are able to say, okay, I'm good at this shot, and changing this thing might make me not feel good for like a couple days or a week, or it might even make me lose a match in the future. But if I can master this thing that I'm adding to my game, the sacrifice is worth it to feel uncomfortable for a while in order to attain a higher level. Now, a lot of recreational players are afraid to do that because they have their friends that they need to beat, and they expect, or they want every single day to be the peak of their playing, and they just want to go like this. But realistically, to train competitively, it's like this, because you're changing things, which means you're not just doing one thing and then only training that one thing over and over and over and over. You're probably changing it, so you're not just doing reps. So going on to that, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, definitely very, very important. Having self-awareness is very important. So moving on from self-awareness, I always think it's really important to film yourself, especially if you don't have a coach. I have tournament players that have come to me and I've filmed them and they're like, wait a second, I had no idea I look like that. And sometimes my stroke will go off the rail and I won't even notice how it looks. And when I see my stroke after a while, I'm like, whoa, that's nothing like I imagined it to be. Or that's certainly not how it felt like. So I can change something to what I see to be correct. And when I test it out, it can either, I'll either be right or wrong. But the process is that I'm actually getting something out of it. I'm actually moving on, whether it's a correct guess or an incorrect guess. Now, the whole purpose of having a coach is so you don't have to guess incorrectly so many times, and it saves you a lot of time. But if you don't have a coach, you have to do film because there's no other way for you to see. You don't have that constant feedback. Of course, the instant feedback from a coach while you're hitting is the best, but feedback from film and you being able to see yourself is even better. Like, for example, I didn't realize how little I was getting under my backhand with my left hand for the longest time. And I was like, I'm aiming like 6 feet over the net and it either barely clears the net or it goes into the net. Why is that? And I got so used to the form that I assumed it looked a certain way in my mind. And when I saw it on video, I was like, wait, I'm not getting under at all. So I think the next step after filming yourself and seeing how you play is to go back and do your shadow swings. Now, people might feel like, oh, like when I do a shadow swing, my stroke is completely correct, and when I see a ball, then it's suddenly different. But it's probably different, but it's probably not exactly correct as well. When you shadow swing, especially in front of a mirror, you can really dissect what you want to look like. And even though it might not be like you do 50 shadow swings and then suddenly you go on the court and your stroke looks exactly like that on the court when you see a ball, but you're training that muscle memory little by little. And if you shadow swing in front of a mirror, you're gonna train your muscle memory without the effect of having to move for the ball. So at least your memory for your stroke is going to start cleaning up, and it's going to be closer to the stroke little by little. This is going to be a process for some people, and it might feel really tedious, but me and a lot of coaches, a lot of other high level coaches, I was like, shadow swings are extremely, extremely important, because when you're not thinking, when you're playing a match, you shouldn't be thinking how your stroke is supposed to look, and every inch of muscle memory can help. That's what experienced players really have over a lot of people, and these are some of the things that you don't see get done during training. A lot of the off-court stuff, mental stuff, film sessions. So if you're really serious about improving, then you need to get these 3 concepts down. And shadow swinging can also include footwork and running and shadow swinging without a ball and all of those things, just so you get your body, accustomed to those movements that you're going to do on the court. And when you really zone in on your shadow swings, shadow footwork, whatever it is, you can take that intention and be a lot more clear on how you want to do it when you get to the court, because you've done it without all these distractions of like focusing on the ball, focusing on your opponent, focusing on whatever, right? So you're already going to be setting yourself up for a better practice. Now, I think I'm just going to keep going, and alright, so this video just ended. I'm going to pull up a very, very old match on my own channel so you guys can watch that while I talk about the next couple things. Alright, we're going to watch this. and I'm not blocking the score. And yes, I'm very big on my screen right now, but this video is about the points that I'm talking about, as much as you guys want to see the match play. Okay, if you want to see the match play, go back to this video and watch the match play. Anyway, where was I? I was talking about shadow swings. Okay, so now we're gonna get more into the fitness aspect and the playing aspect. So we were talking about shadow swings before, right? And you don't have a coach. Say like you don't really have a mentor. You have YouTube, which is crazy because these days you can really look up so many things. You have my channel, you have Intuitive Tennis, you have Karu's channel, you have like Trickster Kev's channel, who, you know, it's all good level tennis, and the only thing with that is you have to dissect and think for yourself. You can't trust every single thing. I've seen some weird things out there on tennis channels, and even some people with like 100,000 subscribers, like they say some things that are scary. But I think on average people are smart enough to kind of cross-reference and check what's right and what's wrong. So for the technique part, to incorporate into your shadow swings and filming, you can really kind of match up what really good players are saying. If you guys want to learn, I think I've seen My Tennis HQ, Karu's channel, has a very good like simplify your strokes video. I'm not sure I don't remember what it was called, but it's a great video. How like everyone's going for like whippy, modern, forehand, whatever all those hype concepts are, but he there's a video where he talks about, hey, we're just gonna keep it super simple, like they're like I loved that video because here's a YouTuber with like, who's not just a YouTuber, he had tons of experience, played for UCLA and all that, and he's teaching and he's saying, look, there are a lot of hyped up things, but let's keep it simple. Tennis is hitting a ball across the net in an efficient way at the end of the day. Okay, so anyway, that kind of went longer than I wanted for that point. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the fitness aspect. So I know a lot of you don't want to hear this, but you have to be a certain level of fit when it comes to playing how you want. That includes doing the footwork drills, and that includes running for balls that aren't coming straight to you down the middle or just side to side. You've got to go running forward and back fitness, side to side fitness, side shuffling fitness. Your legs have to be strong enough to do all that stuff, because your technique can be the most perfect technique in the entire world, and if you can't get to the ball, it's over. And every retired pro, retired college player will probably tell you something similar. It is not the ability to hit the ball that goes first, it is your legs. Even if you continue to hit every single day, like, your match play is not going to get better, because if you just hit down the middle like I do, I just hit down the middle with my students, I've noticed my match play has gone down significantly because I can't get to the ball early enough, and I can't recover as fast, and I don't have as much time, because while my footwork is still good and pretty smooth, I am not nearly as fast or as quick or as precise in the footwork department as I was in college. Even if my strokes might have gone better, like it's really hard to tell, there's so many factors. But no matter how old you are, even if you are 50, there are things you can do to make your step lighter, to make them more precise. Jump roping is very good. Plyometrics, really good. You don't need to squat heavy weights. You don't need to be jumping 10 feet tall, high or whatever, to work on your bounce and to work on just the fluidity and preciseness of your steps. Ladder drills are good. Side to side jumps over the doubles alley, really good. Even if you don't do these to the extent that you're like tired and dying by the time you're done, do it so your muscle memory can slowly adapt, and you will slowly get lighter and faster on the court. So if you want to get competitive, something that people don't talk about nearly enough is movement and fluidity and quickness. So go out there and do that, guys. It's not just about the time you spend on the court hitting a ball, but we're gonna get to hitting a ball now. Well, actually, yeah, we're gonna get to hitting a ball. So another thing is structured practices. Now, let's think about high school tennis, right? A lot of people in high school tennis, barring the ones that have already have like a tournament background, they grew up training and playing tournaments and private lessons and all that, kind of, they have an idea of how to train. Those high school kids that they play every single day because they love tennis, but their high school practice is not really that structured because their coach is like, I don't know, like the English teacher in their school and actually doesn't know anything about tennis, right? So, but they spend 4 years on the court throughout high school playing tennis with their friends almost every single day for 4 or 5 hours. And I've seen this because that's how some of my teammates were like, and that's how a lot of high school kids are like. They love tennis and they spend 4 or 5 hours on a day practicing tennis, which is they spend it on the court hitting the ball randomly down the middle. Once in a while they're gonna play a set, but mostly it's 4 people on a court rallying, and once in a while someone's like, oh, I want to try this technique or this technique. That's not how you are gonna get better. Maybe you'll get better because you'll just be playing tennis, but you'll get better after you hit a certain point. It's going to stop and you're gonna feel like you've got nothing at all. You can up the intensity of the hitting, but that's only going to get you so far as well. You need to plan your drills. You need to plan your practices with a lot more intention. Even drills like hitting 3 balls cross court, third ball down the line, and the other person hits every ball cross court. Stuff like that. Or like the other person has hit every ball 6 feet above the net. You have to attack every ball. Just things like that, where even if you don't have a coach, where it pins down in a very specific thing that you need to work on and that you need to do, you're gonna start noticing things about that certain stroke that you're trying to work on that you probably haven't before. And this happens a lot to me too. Like I'll know certain concepts, and then I'll try to and then I'll be working on that stroke, and then I'll notice something about that stroke. Like I'll be like, oh, maybe I should try this instead. And it's not something that, you know, I was planning on working on that stroke, or something I didn't know before that applies to me. You know, I don't know if that was clear, but yeah, you're gonna notice more things about that in a very specific structured practice and learn about that specific stroke. And you got to do this for every single stroke. And you're not going to notice these things when your friend is hitting like randomly and you're hitting randomly, and you hit that stroke every once in a while, because it's about being efficient with your practice and the production. Now, if you're hitting down the middle, I would recommend you run for almost every ball, because you let the ball double bounce. If the ball's coming deep and you just stop there, hit the ball moving backwards and doing those things, they will reinforce your muscle memory for when you see that ball, you're going to handle it the exact same way that you've repeated the most in your life, right? So the hitting down the middle stuff without intention is actually pretty dangerous, because it builds a lot of habits that you normally wouldn't get in a structured practice. And even though you think you can just flip the switch on and off, it's really, really difficult to do so. Especially when you're under pressure, the things that you do the most are going to come back and define your game. I used to think that I used to think that like, yeah, I can just switch, like I can just learn this technique and practice it, it feels good for a day, and oh yeah, now it's mine, I can use it in a tournament. That is definitely not the case, because your body needs that feedback that the ball is going to go in when you use that technique. So you have to go and you have to practice those specific shots over and over. And a structured practice that forces you to do things right, that's the way to get that practice done. So I know it's tedious, but if you really want to become competitive, this is what you need to do. Now, I want to talk about the fitness a little bit more, because while this kind of goes in the structured practices, right? Because you have to add in certain explosive movements into your practices, where like you hit and you have to recover for a shot, and that's training your fitness with your legs and your lungs and your body. The intensity cannot just be where you're playing at 60-70% and you're chilling throughout the day, because then you're not really pushing anything. Now, I'm not saying if you're like 50-40 years old and you can only play tennis a certain number of hours a week, you don't have to kill yourself, but you have to challenge yourself and you have to be intentional. As for like college tennis and pro tennis, there is no denying the fact that if you're not fit enough, if you're not strong enough, and not by strong I mean like pure strength, not just how big your muscles are or what weight you lift. Like if your strength doesn't transfer into tennis, then you are not going to succeed, because your strokes can be perfect, but everyone's going to be able to hit the ball well, and if they're faster than you, you're at a huge disadvantage. If they're able to swing faster than you, you're at a huge disadvantage, because people are realizing physiques do somewhat matter. And at before the pro level, like I would say that people don't work hard enough for it to really define who's going to win a tennis match. So if you're not big, don't worry about that. Do everything you can first before you draw a conclusion, right? And I believe that, you know, if you limit yourself by not working hard, then that's literally the worst thing you can do, and say, oh, I don't have the talent, or I don't have the body. But as for working out your muscles, doing the explosive medicine ball throws, doing push-offs with your legs, working your cardio, if you get tired before someone else, you can be 10 times better than them at every stroke. But if you're too tired to play the game, then you can't win. You're never going to be there. You're not going to hit a clean shot if you're gasping for breath. And that's me after college, literally. Like I have more skills than most people that I play. I play my students, and then like sometimes people ask me to play, but the moment I get tired, like it falls apart so fast. You know, that's why whenever I play someone, I always make sure I can kind of just cruise through. But if I were to play, people always ask me like, oh, why don't you play tournaments again? Like you still have all your shots. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll get tired after 2 games. And if the guy just decides to grind for the whole match, there's no way I'm lasting 2 sets. I'll probably end up losing to like a 10 UTR or something, you know? So like I know that fitness part is not there, because I'm still pretty fast, but I maybe have 2 sprints in me before I'm totally winded. So you guys really need to pay attention to that as well. Wow, this is God. Okay, so yeah, that's really what I wanted to talk about. I don't expect this video to like blow up, but I think that just as someone who is putting content out, I really want people to have real expectations for themselves, to like, what are you doing to get yourself to that level? Because the things I talked about today are things that are easily overlooked, or people, they hear it, but they don't really think about it. They're like, oh yeah, shadow swings, oh yeah, fitness, obviously, footwork, yeah, of course. But they don't really think, wait, yeah, I have to do it. Like, that's just, there's only one result. You either get to that level or you don't. And the reason that some people are at that level and some people aren't is really clear, actually. There are people that can that are way fitter than others, and people watch them on YouTube and they're like, oh my god, how is he a whatever rating? How is he a 5.0? His strokes are terrible. Well, if he runs down every single shot and makes you uncomfortable, then it's a tough guy to play. But that on the opposite end of the spectrum, you see people, beautiful strokes, and they're like a 7 UTR or something. It's like, how is he only a 7 UTR? Well, because he can't play a match. He can't play two good sets because he gets tired, or he's not strong enough. So there's always something that everyone can improve on, including myself. So I hope this just gave some clarity to some people, and I know a lot of you guys really want to get good. And tennis is a hobby for you guys, but it's also not just a hobby. It's like I get you. I have things like that in my life too, that they're hobbies, but I definitely don't treat it as a hobby. I really want to get good at it. So hopefully you guys weren't too bored out of this talk, and I hope the stuff I put in the background was at least entertaining enough to keep you guys engaged. Have a good day and peace out. I hope you guys really listened to what I have to say and that it helps your game. See ya.